Hello everyone, so welcome back. In this video, we'll be starting with the data flows. Okay, so we have completed discussing pipelines, a data set, linked services, integration runtimes, and the data flow. Okay, so basically, Azure Data Factory Data Flow is a cloud native graphical data transformation tool that sits within our Azure Data Factory platform as a service product. Okay, so data flow can be considered as a firm Azure equivalent for our on-premises SSIS package data flow engine, right? So if you have worked with the SSIS, right, it's similar to that. Yeah, so we have more features in the SSIS, but yeah, so almost the interface, okay, it looks similar, okay. Now let's understand this. Okay, so if we have the comparison between the SSIS and the Azure data flow, okay, you can see. So if we have a data in the SQL warehouse, right? Data warehouse, okay. So if we have a three different data sets, okay, so we can create a fact table, okay. So this is how the execution will be under the SSIS, okay. So if the same thing, okay, if you want to load so example of this data flow, okay, pipeline for loading our data mart tables, okay, this is how it looks, okay. And so if I just get into this individual, okay, so resume, like here SQL data warehouse, okay, you can see like how the steps will be, okay. So of course we need to get the data, okay, so we'll have a look up product and finally we'll create a fact sales, right? So similarly this type of data flow we can just create it with help of data flow in the data factory. Okay, so when we talk about data flow, okay, there are main two categories. Okay, so one is mapping a data flow where we transform the data. Okay, so here it's morely deals with the data flow. Okay, like source and destination and about its connectors. Okay, so our next section is wrangling the data flow. Okay, so where it directly focuses on the preparation and the exploration of the data using this Power Query. Okay, so this is how the mapping looks. Okay, so if you use the data flows, I'll just show that in the demo section. Okay, this is how the wrangling dashboard looks. Okay, so behind the scenes, okay, so whatever we do in the whatever we do in the data factory, okay, so everything will be converted into a JSON format and that will be converted into Scala language, and finally those scripts will be run under the Azure Databricks. Okay, so you can see the behind the scene data flow will execute on Azure Databricks using Spark. So Azure Data Flow internally handles all the code translation, Spark optimization, and execution of the transformation, right? So this is how, because what we do in the data flow is the drag and drop. So in the behind the scene, this is how it's gonna work. Okay, so if I just go here and let's try to close this, and if I just directly go to the data factory. Okay, so this was the data factory which we created, right? So here if you can just directly go to the data flow. Okay, so you can see this is what the data flow is, right? So here we have a different, like if you want to add source, okay, so all this I can just configure it, right? So if you want to add like any other like this is the certain operations which you can just perform, okay, on the data, whether it's join, exist, union, lookup, right? So all the data you can see, like there are many functionalities in this also. Okay, even in the pipeline section also, right? So we have, like if I'm just going to the some pipeline 2, okay, under this also we have this data flow, right? So I can just drag this. Okay, so here also have different properties which is associated with this data flow, right? So where I'll be creating the new data flow. Okay, so where I'll be landing here. Okay, so basically I'll be creating this. Okay, so we'll perform the two types of operation. One is transform and um, mapping the data flow, and one is wrangling the data flow. Okay, so let's see the demo in the next video.